Good evening. Welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I'm Julia.
And I'm Maddie. We're here reporting on the Supreme Court. It's part of the judicial branch, and it's the top court that's in the national capital of Washington, D.C.
The purpose of the Supreme Court is to decide whether they are being constitutional or not.
Today is October 1st, and you know what that means.
That's right. A new term of the court began today and will last until next year. There will be many petitions filed during this upcoming year. On average, there are 10,000 a year, but only a fraction of them actually get to be heard by the Supreme Court.
Which shows a weakness of the court because there might be very important cases that don't get any attention. But they must have a lot of work to do. They aren't hearing cases for that whole year, though. From fall to winter, they rotate every 2 weeks from either having sittings
or where they hear and judge cases. There are approximately 24 cases per sitting.
Or having recesses,
where they consider business and read through paperwork.
Then in the summer, they're mostly on longer recesses.
So, how did this all start?
With the Judiciary Act of 1789, and it's written in the Constitution.
And in the 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson case, it was confirmed that having separate schools for blacks and whites was equal.
But in the Brown versus Board of Education case in 1954, Brown lost at the local courts, but took it to the Supreme Court to state that it was segregation and unconstitutional.
Yes, the justices have a lot more to do than just say, order in the court.
Let's introduce some of the justices, shall we?
Well, for starters, we have the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, and he has 8 associate justices.
For a total of 9, so that there will never be a tie in votes. However, Congress reserves the right to change the number of justices.
You might be wondering who nominates or chooses the justices and how long do they get to hold that title.
That's up to the President, and then the Senate votes.
And they can serve for life unless they are impeached or resign.
There are other officers who assist during the case.
There's a counselor to the Chief of Justice, clerk, librarian, marshal, reporter of decisions, court counsel, curator, director of information technology, and public information officer.
They get appointed by either the Chief Justice or the court. Like I said, they assist during the cases. For example, when a hearing is about to start, the marshal announces the justices and they enter. The gavel is pounded and everyone in the court rises.
And now, the Chief Justice. All rise. Then they hear each side for 30 minutes and read through the records of the arguments, being careful to evaluate every statement and piece of evidence.
Because they are usually from a course that was settled in a local court or appeal, there are no witnesses and no jury.
Then the justices take a break to talk it over and come up with a jurisdiction, siding with either the defendant or the plaintiff. The justices will now talk it over.
That's the final decision because there's no higher court to take the case to.
We vote the defendant guilty. Case closed. That seems like a lot of work, actually.
Yeah, I used to think it was just pounding on a gavel and voting.
Well, I hope you all learned something too. Thanks for watching and tune in tomorrow. I'm Julia.
And I'm Maddie. Good night.